Let's take a breather from those numbers now. The South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry's monthly business confidence index fell to 94.0 in May from 96 in April. This was due to a slide in trade activity and higher consumer inflation following a hike in value-added tax and represents the fourth consecutive decline. It's the lowest reading since October 2017, but only just shy of last year's average of 94.4. The measure of the private sector confidence had climbed to a 2.5-year high in January after Cyril Ramaphosa's election as a leader of the ruling African National Congress in December in anticipation of business-friendly policy reforms following years of uncertainty under former President Jacob Zuma. The SACCI says that if trade with the Southern African Customs Union was excluded, exports and imports had shown a sharp decline since March, with the rand's strength in the first quarter of the year particularly dampening commodity exports. And staying in South Africa, gold miner Harmony Gold has raised just over 1.05 billion rand or $82 million via the issue of new shares. Harmony took out loans to partly fund the $300 million acquisition of the Moab Khotsong mine earlier this year in a deal that the company said would significantly boost its operational cash flow. The company, which competes with AngloGold, Goldfields and Simbaya Stillwater at home, sold 55 million new shares or 15% stake at 19.12 rand each in an 11.7% discount to the closing price on Tuesday. Ethiopia is opening up the state-owned telecommunications company and airline to foreign investors for the first time. This is a major policy shift that will loosen the state's grip on the economy. According to the state-run Ethiopian news agency, the government will sell minority stakes to foreign and domestic investors in state monopolies such as Ethio Telecom and Ethiopian Airlines Enterprise, as well as Ethiopian Shipping and Logistics Services Enterprise. The East African country of more than 100 million people has long been a target of the biggest phone companies in Africa, including MTN Group Limited and Vodacom Group, the largest by sales and market value, respectively. Ethiopian Airlines links almost 70 global cities with almost 60 across the continent. It's also planning to take equity stakes in new operators in Zambia, Chad, Mozambique, and Guinea. Now let's bring things closer towards home in Nigeria. The FMDQ OTC Securities Exchange, in partnership with the Climate Bonds Initiative, Access Bank PLC, the SEC, and Climate Bonds Initiative are holding a roundtable on the concept of alternative financing instruments and the principles of green financing. At the meeting, the Director of Market Development for Climate Bonds Initiative, Justin Lee Bell, talks about the benefits of floating the first of such securities in Africa ahead of a $30 million issue in a $420 million program on Thursday.
This product, green bonds, has not just been about the fact that it's tapping institutional capital and it's addressing climate change and we have a story. What it's doing is driving institutional change. The core component of this product is transparency and disclosure. And I can tell you now, no matter where you are in the world, especially the banks, if you don't start shifting in this direction, you are going to lose out competitively. Even more so, if you are not putting money into the future development that every country in the world needs to have developed and emerging, you will lose out macroeconomically. On the global stage, and probably regionally, China understands that very, very clearly. India is starting to catch on. This is not just about the West coming in and saying, we need to be doing this, you should be doing this. This is global transition because it just makes more economic sense. We're beginning to see that. An example is solar power is becoming across the board cheaper than coal. India is having a serious crisis right now in the coal industry because 175 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2022 set by Modi has now put National Thermal Power Corporation of India in a bit of a panic. And it's got most of the market in a bit of a panic because the coal-fired power plants are shutting down because they can't compete with the rollout of the renewable energy that is happening in the country. So again, transparency and disclosure is a very attractive marketing for investors if we want to tap the big capital. And so this is something that creates itself an opportunity for every market, and also coming down to the fact of what it's financing and making sure that we're thinking about what we are financing for the future development of our economies. So this is set up in a very different style to what the intent was for tomorrow's. The roundtable is, and what I mean by that is this is a fantastic setup and room, but I want to make sure that it's not seen as a panel session, we present, and no interaction. Okay, this is a time for us all to come together and voice our opinion. I want to hear the negativity. I want to hear the skepticism, okay? But I also want to hear about the solutions to those negative comments. It's very easy to criticize and figure out things that are not working. If we've accomplished anything today, we've got some concrete action points of we can then take forward and begin to start putting into action.
Still ahead on the program, the UK Deputy High Commissioner, Ms. Laura Bufils, talks about her country's investment inflows to Nigeria. Do stay with us.